used to call myself Kathy. That was until everyone started shortening it to Kath, which isn't okay, because I'm not a 72-year-old auntie who chain smokes and pisses herself. I'm more like a typical white dad, I would say, mainly because I love puns, I love 70s music, and I don't trust young straight men. A lot of people ask me if doing stand-up comedy makes me nervous, but I don't really get nervous much anymore. And I think that's because once you've faced the task in life of sitting down your Jehovah's Witness parents and telling them that you're an atheist bisexual, nothing really scares you. I didn't tell him I was atheist and bisexual at the same time, though. I didn't want to kill him. Can you imagine? Mum, Dad, sit down. God doesn't exist, and also I like the plunge. Because that kind of be like telling Linda McCartney that you think the Beatles are shit whilst eating a Big Mac. Speaking of McDonald's, do you not think it's a bit suspicious how everyone knows that the milkshake machine never works, right? Apart from when Nigel Farage is in town. One of the reasons that I left the Jehovah's Witnesses was because you're not allowed to perform oral sex. Did you know? No, I bet you didn't know that. And I'm sorry, I just can't let my best talent go to waste like that. I'm sorry, I just can't. A lot of people ask me what it's like going into stand-up comedy, coming from a Jehovah's Witness background, and to be honest, it's not that different. You know, as a stand-up comedian, it's quite the same. You know, you travel around different areas talking to strangers about your beliefs and they laugh in your face. You'd think that the toughest thing about growing up Jehovah's Witness would be having to go without normal things that most people are allowed to have, you know, like Christmas, birthdays, a mind of your own. Halloween as well. They don't celebrate Halloween either because they don't like it when random people come up to their doors. I would have thought that would be the one time that they would go around knocking since everyone's expecting it, and if they get rejected they leave with a bit of Haribo. I don't think any Halloween costume would scare me more though than being revisited by my past like that. If my housemate was like, "Kat, there's a man at the door with a magazine." Oh yeah? What kind of magazine? I can't make it out, but he's sort of a teenage girl that's dressed like an old lady. Oh god, it's them! You'd think the toughest thing about growing up Jehovah's Witness would be my sexuality, but if anything it just made it 10 times easier for my dating life, my parents assuming that I'm straight by default. For an example, when I was 17, my mum asked me if I had a boyfriend yet, whilst the girl that I fucked was sat right next to me. Leanne, she was called, or as Mum and Dad knew her as, my best friend. She was always allowed over for sleepovers. Mum would be like, "Kathy darling, will Leanne be coming tonight?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah." Several times. The straight men in the room are going, "Several times, that's a thing?" Sorry, straight men, I know you guys already have it really tough as it is. I love this crowd. Usually it's only the women that laugh at that joke, whilst the men are sort of sat round like, "What? We do have it tough, don't we?" No, the toughest thing about growing up Jehovah's Witness was in fact not being allowed to read the Harry Potter books. Which is seen as really alienating, you know, being a 90s kid who's never read Harry Potter. I went to my girlfriend for support about this. I said, "Come on baby, you know why I've never read the books, right?" And she said, "Yeah, because you're a fucking disgrace to humanity." Probably the most millennial thing you can ever say. So first I thought I better get with the programme then and read the books, but I'm a bit of a procrastinator, you see, so I had to do a bunch of other stuff beforehand, so things like, you know, seeing which house I'd be in first, because you have to do that, don't you, see what house you're in. It was a struggle for me though. Already there was a bit of a problem because I'm not very good at picking teams. Because bisexuals just see Harry Potter houses the same way as they see people, you know? We don't care whether you've got a snake or a badger. If you've got Ravenclaws, you can stay the fuck away. But if they're nice and trim, you can slither in. You get a lot of ignorant questions as well as a bisexual. I get a lot of, oh, you've got a girlfriend though, so does that mean that you're a lesbian now? And I kind of like to simplify it for those who don't understand. So it's kind of like how I'm not a vegetarian, but I always choose the cheese and onion pasty at Greg's because it just fucking tastes better. Same reason. Yeah, a lot of people ask me, because people seem to think that it's some sort of hippie-ass trend being bisexual, which is why I always get asked if I like avocados. To be fair, I realise that bisexuals are quite similar to avocados in the way that everyone seems to assume that we'll go with anything. Which obviously isn't true before 2 AM. And yeah, there was this one guy as well that I used to see that just wouldn't leave me alone about the whole threesome thing, and I'm sure we can all guess why. So he was constantly just like, so Kat, out of curiosity, would you ever have a threesome? So I said, yeah, you know what, I've got something planned for tomorrow, why don't you come round? So he did, and he got all excited. Judging by the look on his face though, I don't think he expected to see my mate Steve sprawled across the sofa. Wearing nothing but a jockstrap and holding a tub of anal lube. Honestly, I just get so many ignorant questions though. I don't even live with straight people anymore, I can't be dealing with them. I'm currently living with a drag queen right now. She's great. Like, she lends me all of her clothes and makeup and hip pads. Hip pads are those rubber things that you put in your pants. That's probably not a good way of phrasing it, actually. But basically, they're designed to make you look more curvaceous, which is useful if you're a drag queen or if you were born to just look like a hat stand. I guess maybe that's why people say that I look straight. I mean, I can't think of any other reason why people would say that. And my girlfriend often says that she wishes that we could swap figures and everything, and I'm like, you want hips narrower than Katie Hopkins' mind? You want an arse that's so flat that when you say you're not arsed, people really believe you. Because my girlfriend's quite curvaceous. I love curvaceous women. I like my women like I like. What was the joke? There we go. Sorry, I smoke a lot of weed. And when I say a lot, I mean like, think of. Has anyone here ever been to Amsterdam? Yeah. Basically, think of your first night in Amsterdam. That's what I call a Tuesday night, but without the sex workers. That's Wednesday. Yeah, because I like my women like I like my gravy, thick and rich. And yeah, she does often say that we could swap figures, and I just get. As a bisexual woman, I obviously I'm attracted to it, but I'm also very jealous. So whenever I see my girlfriend naked, I never know whether I want a finger or a fucking strangle her. Luckily, she enjoys both. We haven't really been having a lot of sex recently, though. Apparently, it's lesbian bed death. That's why lesbian bed death is apparently a thing. Has anyone ever heard of lesbian bed death? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, apparently it's the statistic that lesbian couples have sex the least amount, which. It's not that we don't have as much sex as other types of couples, is that we don't feel the need to have it as often. And that's because when we do have it, orgasms actually happen. And for anyone who's offended by that, just look at the stats. You know? Even the latest, she's like, yeah. Honestly, like, it's true. 2 out of 3 women don't always climax during sex. Do you know what else 2 out of 3 women are? Straight. Just saying. I think another reason though why we don't have sex as often is because when we do have it, it does go on for quite a long time. You know, so it's not uncommon for for you to be on your 5th orgasm and then suddenly the mail starts piling up. Seasons are changing out the window. You know, the cat's in the corner because of course we've got a cat together. You realise people. The cat's in the corner, dead from dehydration. the Sugar Babes have got back together and rotated the lineup 3 times. It just goes on. I think another reason though why lesbian couples don't have sex as often is because when you tell a woman you're not really in the mood, you only really have to say it once. It's true. That offends some men, but it's fucking true. Like, personally anyway, in my experience, I've never felt the need to fake a headache with a woman. She's never had to put up with me trying to get her in the mood by, I don't know, what would be the lesbian equivalent of trying to get a woman in, like, going behind her while she's doing the dishes and poking her in the back of my fingers. Yeah, guys, you've been really great. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. I'm Molinari.